Welcome back to Chin Music, our baseball show at talknorth.com. I just got back from spring training recently. LaVelle flew in right after me. I followed Carlos Gonzalez, our great photographer, and my lead guitarist. And LaVelle, Carlos, and I have been sharing the same house at the same room as at the Star Tribune house, alongside Phil Miller and Bobby Nightingale are doing such a great job covering the team for us. Today's lineup at talknorth.com, Chin Music. Roy Smalley, former Twins star, former Twins broadcaster, LaVelle Neal, baseball guru and columnist at the Star Tribune. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune and talknorth.com. Best way to listen to this show or any show at the network, please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. We're presented by Giggly THC Beverages and OnX Hunt. A reminder, Giggly THC Beverages, promo code Giggly North, Gigli North, gets you 50% off your first order. Highly recommend it. Really enjoying the product. All right, LaVelle, just start us off. I mean, I got a certain feel when I was in camp. What is the vibe you're getting since you've been there?
I just think this is a determined team that's smart a little bit from how last year turned out. And I sat down with Royce Lewis for about 18 minutes yesterday, and he talked as if he was someone who was ready to come out of the other side of everything that happened to him in a much better headspace and a much better spot to handle the ups and downs that come with a regular season, especially the slump he had at the end of the year. Maybe he should never mention the word slump and stuff like that. There's a lot of confidence about the talent on the pitching staff, not just the rotation, but the bullpen and the depth that and they have. And I'm saying a lot of this just from working one day through the clubhouse on the day in which the team was in Tampa playing the Yankees. I'm actually at this tape. I'm in Port Charlotte, and the Twins are about a half an hour away from playing the Rays. So this will be my first spring training game to actually observe. So I'm just getting a lot of it based off of like one day and one morning. But I can sense the confidence, and it's not like, it's not like a bunch of ifs. I mean, the one if with this team is definitely avoiding injuries, but they know how talented they are. And know how productive they can be if they stay on the field.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got. I think it's a very confident team. I think it's easy from the outside and understandable from the outside. Say, okay, they collapsed the end of last year. They didn't add anybody significant. How can you be optimistic? But it's really about pitching depth, the big three being healthy, organizational depth. And as you said, I think first base is really the only big question mark. And Roy, you've talked about first base before. You expected Ty France to come to camp, ready to impress because it's a new team. He's probably been, looking for a job, and he's probably in peak condition. What do you think the best fallbacks are if Ty France ends up not being somebody who gets 400, 500 at bats?
Well, I think they're going to end up. They're going to end up with Julian and Miranda over there. I mean, I think that's the best scenario for them right now if Ty France doesn't work out. And by the way, it might be Ty France and Julian and you got another decent right-hand hitter to DH in Miranda. I don't know how the numbers work, absolutely fall out, but I think what they're saying is, look, we've got a guy that's been a big league player at first base. He has the ability to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Let's see if we can catch a rebound here. And if it doesn't work, we've got a pretty good potential platoon system between Julian and Miranda. So it's not going to exactly be the total package that they got from Santana last year with the combination of big hits that he got in Gold Glove defense. But I think it's serviceable. And what actually happens is that, what actually means something is it comes down to Brooks Lee. What I've been thinking about. Now is the time, from my standpoint, now is the time for them to see what this latest, batch of high draft picks is gonna do for them. We went through the Sano and Buxton, are gonna be superstars, and then they were what they were, and then we went through Kepler and Polanco is gonna, they're gonna helped carry the club with Buxton, and then we kind of went through. We've gone through that period, and now it's how did we do with Royce Lewis and Brooks Lee, and then some of the guys that LaVelle will talk about that are on the cusp of coming up, because you've got the big three as you call it, but the holdovers now are Buxton and Correa, in terms of the guys that they absolutely need to be the crux of the ball club. And now you've got Royce Lewis and Brooks Lee and Wallner and Trevor Larnach, and it's saying, okay, what have we got? Where are we? Because this is the next round that's got to step up. We've got to have Buxton and Correa stay healthy, and then all these other guys that we invested high draft picks and we really think are going to be good. We're going to find out one way or the other. Either if they're going to be a contending team, then those two things have got to happen. Buxton and Correa have to be Buxton and Correa for a whole bunch of games, and Brooks Lee and Royce Lewis in particular have to use Denny Green's phrase, they have to be who they think they are.
Let's get more into the roster, vibes of spring training, weaknesses, strengths, everything else. Do want to let you know you should keep the good times rolling without the regrets. Giggly THC beverages are your go-to for bold flavor and smooth vibes. Zero alcohol, no bad decisions, just THC-infused cocktails, seltzers, and teas packed with natural ingredients and performance-boosting superfoods like ashwagandha and ginseng. Find Giggly at more than 500 locations like Total Wine, MGM, and Cub Foods, or shop online at giggly.com. Ready to upgrade your drink game? Use the code GIGLYNORTH, GIGLI North, for 50% off your first order. Giggly sips smarter, feels better. Also, ice fishing is here. It's time to hit the frozen water with Onyx Fish. The Fish app's the most comprehensive fishing tool for increasing your confidence on ice. Use Onyx Fish to find new places to fish and sort lakes by species, abundance, trophy, and keeper potentials. Onyx Fish also shows you hot spots, lake-by-lake regulations, and private and public land ownership information. For a limited time, download Onyx Fish for free in Minnesota, Wisconsin, or go to onyxmaps.com/fish to get more information on the app that is changing the game on ice. Let's go big picture here for a second. I talked to a lot of people in camp about, including Dave St. Peter, about Dave St. Peter transitioning into more of an advisory role, someone who's just invested an incredible amount of time and effort in running the Twins, moving up through the Twins organization, widely respected by everyone who knows him and works with him. And basically he's going to do advisory stuff this year, help get through the sale, help the Twins get through some stuff to the legislature in terms of the funding of the upkeep of Target Field. But he's going to be gone, and that's a major thing for anybody who's been around the team. Derek Falvey is going to basically take over that role and delegate some of the things Dave did. But we've all known Dave for a long time. Roy, why don't you start? How strange will it be to have Dave not be in that position?
It will be very strange, and it'll be interesting to see how they delegate his role out, because his role was basically work every day, from morning to night. I've never seen anybody. I don't think I've seen anybody, or very few people, that had the energy of both the physical energy and the psychological, mental personality energy that Dave brought to that job. I mean, it didn't matter who you were. If you sent him an email or you called him and left a voicemail, he called you back, or he emailed you back. And when he had a thought about something, he would call you up and say, just been thinking about this or that. I mean, it's really remarkable. It's exemplary for all of us. His ability to keep so many balls in the air, irons of fire, whatever you want to say, and still find time to stop and visit with fans, to respond to people, to fans on Twitter, or social media in some way. I've always just really admired his total energy that he brought to everything about the Minnesota Twins, from the seemingly vitally significant down to the, boy, he really didn't have to do that. That's pretty impressive that he did, and all things in between.
Dave has been in love with this region. He's been in love with this city, this town, this metropolitan area. He's been in love with this franchise since he was a kid. He grew up in North Dakota, And his father was a Roger Maris fan. So when the Yankees would come and play the Twins at the old Met, they load up the station wagon and come into town. And Dave was in the stands as a kid watching the Twins and developing a bond with the franchise. And basically, he's lived a lifelong dream to end up spending his life's work being with the franchise they rooted for as a kid. I mean, it's a heck of a story. And he invested everything he had into every aspect of the Twins. If it was not just the business side, but media relations, and he was a great steward and a great representative of the organization and the community. When I met Dave St. Peter my first couple years on the beat, I was like, man, when I grow up, I want to be Dave St. Peter. And I think we're about the same age, when I said that. So it's going to be a void. I talked to a couple people yesterday down here about him, and they're still trying to figure out how the new responsibility is going to shake out and how they would trickle down and who's going to do what. And will that the person who's taking on more responsibility, will they'll delegate others responsibilities? So there's still some people being unsure of how this is all going to shake out in Dave's absence. And two, on top of that, although I don't have any other updates, they're like, and we may have to go through this again if there's a new owner,
Right.
So they're kind of sitting there going, okay, what are the next few months going to bring us here? And then the other thing about Dave is like, I just can't believe suddenly he's going to stop coming to the ballpark. I still think I'm going to be there on opening day at Target Field. I'm going to look down the left field, look down to the left side of the press box, and expect to see Dave sitting in that booth like he normally does, with the window open, regardless of the weather, mocking us when we had the windows closed, and taking in the game. So it's just going to be strange not having him there. A very sharp man. It was his idea that spurned the Diamond Awards, an annual baseball banquet in January that's now raised over $2.5 million for neurological research at the University of Minnesota. So he's impacted the Twins and the community in so many different ways, and it's just going to be strange not having him or feeling his influence around here.
One funny thing, I covered the Twins when they were I was the beat writer when the Twins were really bad, 93 to 97. Then I was around the team as a quasi beat writer, national writer, columnist, whatever, ever since. And I knew, because I had good sources in the organization, I knew how mad Dave would get at me when I ripped the team or made fun of the team during those losing seasons. But you know what? When I saw him, he was always just professional, energetic, and the other memory I had of him is that, every time I talked to a Twins employee over the last 25 years, they all said, Dave's a great boss because he understands your job. He's a tough boss because he could do your job better than you could.
God, that's just such a great thing to say about him. That's exactly true.
Yeah. So congratulations, Dave. He's been he's great at his job. He's been a great steward for that organization. He's been great to all the people he deals with, including us. He gets media. He understands access. He understands what's best for the game. So congratulations to Dave. We really do appreciate everything you've done with the organization. By the way, side note, I know Twins fans panicked when the Ishbies backed out and bought the White Sox. I don't know about you guys. From what I've heard, that might be the greatest thing that ever happens to this franchise. I don't know who's going to end up owning it. Maybe we don't have any idea how they're going to operate, if they're going to be rational or whether they're going to spend money or whatever. But I've heard so many bad things about the Ishbies management style. LaVelle, I don't know if you've heard any of those same things.
Well, his brother has run the Phoenix Suns into the ground now. They're a mess financially.
Yep.
And Kevin Durant wants out. And when they first showed up, they were a breath of fresh air because they made the moves bringing Bill and Durant and took their games and put them on local free TV. So they were like godsends at the time. But since then, now their financial situation is screwed up because they've overspent. They got people they can't move. And the people are frustrated all of a sudden.
You know what? The Ishbies owning the Phoenix Suns might lead to Kevin Durant being traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I considered that too, Jim. I've thought about that. I think he would love to come play for Ant too. What would that take, though? It would take. Well, this isn't the basketball. This isn't the.
Yeah, we won't get into the weeds on it, and who knows if it happens. Yeah. But if Kevin Durant wants to play in Minnesota, and Anthony Edwards wants Kevin Durant to play in Minnesota, and Tim Connolly's general manager, there would be a trade or 2 or 8. All right,
I agree.
Let's get back to the Twins. First, though, we want to let you know more about Aquarius Home Services.
Has your heating system ghosted you? Just not there when you needed it this winter? Scott from Aquarius Home Services. If your furnace has been hit or miss this winter, it might be time for an upgrade. Right now, save up to 25% on a new high-efficiency heating and cooling system, because comfort should never disappear. Enjoy reliability and peace of mind. Schedule your free estimate today at AquariusHomeservices.com. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
Thanks also to a great Minnesota company, Minnesota Masonic Charities.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota, or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
And here's our Talk North colleague, John Krasinski for True Vision Institute.
True Vision Institute in Bloomington. I've been telling you about it for months now. Just a life-changing experience for me to go to True Vision and have LASIK surgery this summer. Everything is easier for me after having LASIK surgery. I don't have the hassles of contacts and eyeglasses. I don't have to worry about going in for annual appointments to get the eyes checked, and also to make sure that I have the latest and greatest style of glasses, and I'm not looking like some washed up 46-year-old like I am, trying to stay ahead of the trends. I don't have that anymore. I'm just going around free and clear without anything on my face. And that's all thanks to the good folks at True Vision. When you go into True Vision, you will immediately notice how welcoming, how warm, how friendly, and how knowledgeable the staff is there. They get you in, they get you checked out, they find the right vision correction options for you. And then Dr. Chu is just world class in how he helps you through the procedure, how he makes sure that he gets you taken care of, and like he did with me. And I've had zero issues with my vision since I had the surgery in July. And I just keep kicking myself and wishing I would have done it 10 years ago. So go to truevision.com and set up your consultation. Tell them the John Krasinski Show sent you, and get on with your life. Make it easier on yourself, and just get to the point where you can kick your own self in the butt and say, why didn't I do this a long time ago?
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
By the way, I got no sense when I was in camp that Eddie Julian had really changed much. Have you heard anything about whether he's making progress either offensively or defensively?
He made a bad defensive error yesterday, I was told. I wasn't there in Tampa, but apparently it was bad. He's here today. He's in the lineup against the Rays, so I'll get a chance to see firsthand. He's taken a few call strike threes, I've heard, but when he's hit the ball well, it's been to left field. So it looks a lot like last year, man. So that's not good. And these games are going to start getting more important right about now, especially after our first real round of cuts here, either tomorrow or on Sunday. And the regulars are going to start playing deeper into games, and Julian's going to have to finish with a surge here and be functional too. And here's the other thing, Jim, I'm actually writing about this for Sunday, is about there's one area of the team to be a little bit concerned about. I think we're kind of wondering what the defense is going to look like. I talked to Rocco about it today. And, when Rocco really likes an aspect of his team, he is not going to stop talking about it. And when I asked him about the defense, he was like, I just want us to be fundamentally sound. And to me, that was that was a warning sign about what things, because, they have Buxton as a center. He's got all the range in the world. Wallner has a terrific arm, but, the corner outfielders probably aren't as rangy as people they've had before them. The infield, to be honest with you, your best defensive infield would have Brooks Lee at third, Correa short, probably Willie Castro as second, and then, I guess Ty France at first. But here's the thing, France has got to prove himself too, because the defensive metrics have him as not just bad, but horrible last year. And he told our Phil Miller, don't believe everything you read. I'm a much better defensive player than the numbers show. So he's got to prove that. But Julian is in the middle of that, because we've seen him make bad error after bad error. And when I heard he made a bad play yesterday against the Yankees, and that's not good. This is the time of year where he should be showing improvement. If he's not, and you have Brooks Lee who can play over there, and I think Willie Castro has to be in the lineup at least 4 times a week somewhere. And to me, second base looks like a good spot for him. So I think I wrote a couple of days ago that someone's going to be pissed off in the camp because they're not going to be going north with the team. And I thought when I wrote that, I thought Julian was the number one guy in that group.
Yeah, I just don't think his fielding has improved, and his fielding wasn't good enough last year. And I do think that Willie Castro will be primary second baseman to start the season, and then he'll see where else he's needed. Roy, if you were going to give Eddie Julian one piece of advice at this juncture of his career, what would it be?
Oh, man.
Or 8 pieces of advice.
Yeah, I don't think I could. I can narrow it down. I think it's. He's an issue because I really don't like his swing playing. That has never changed, and I don't think his swing playing and his approach to the plate is going to allow him to hit his way past the defensive shortcomings. And I don't see a pathway for him getting to Rocco's fundamentally sound. I defensively, I just don't. At second base, I just don't see that. So, I mean, I think, LaVelle, to your point, I think my advice is only going to happen really if he doesn't come north with the club, because if he goes to AAA, then I think you say, okay, now here's my advice. Let's work on the swing plane and your approach, and then let's work your tail off at second base defense, and because that's really his only shot. And I just don't think it's going to get better in the big leagues. I think it's a reset.
My pet peeve about professional athletes is the ones who have an obvious flaw and they don't dedicate themselves in the offseason to fixing it. We've seen, I felt the same way about Ricky Rubio as the Timberwolves point guard. He was a wonderful all-around player, leader, passer, defender, and everybody knew that his upside was going to be determined by his shooting, and he never worked on his shooting. He'd just go play basketball in the offseason. We saw Koski and Morneau, among others, just dedicate themselves to taking thousands of ground balls in the winter, and they went from being bad defenders to being very good defenders. I just don't know why Julian wouldn't have come to camp a better second baseman. LaVelle, I don't know if you have any insights on that.
That's a good point. And, I read a story a couple of weeks ago about how Royce was working on third base and getting some advice from Kadire. They asked him about that yesterday. He said, I've really been working a lot with Toby Gardenhire. He's been working me hard over at third. And I started thinking, well, this is a repeat. This is a repeat of history when Gardy, his father, was working with Koski. They got it turned around. And so my thought is, well, we haven't really duplicated that because Toby should be working with the Canadian. He should be all over Julian right now and duplicating, helping someone get over their defensive shortcomings. But you reap what you sow, as both of you guys are kind of alluding to here. And if you don't put in the work, you're going to be on the sidelines here. And Koski and Morneau are 2 good examples of guys who made themselves better in their roles. You can go back into his history. Tony Oliva was a horrible defensive player and made himself into a good defensive player because he wanted to stay in the league. And, of course, that bat probably would have played regardless, but at least he got better defensively on his own. So Julian, he's on the verge of being in a spot where he's wasting his career.
Yeah. Disappointing for me. What are you seeing and hearing out of Louis Varland? I know they haven't officially announced that he's in the bullpen, but he's in the bullpen. And sounds like his attitude about it is better than we thought it might be.
Exactly. And here's the thing, because Rocco kind of addressed this a little bit too this morning. Here's the thing. They want Louis to be in the bullpen. Louis has no problem being in the bullpen. He's made 4 appearances, all 1 inning. He's going to pitch an inning tomorrow. And the main plan is for him to start throwing back-to-backs by the end of camp. The thing, though, is that if A, B, and C and D happen in terms of injuries to other people, they feel that Varland's the one guy that they could stretch out on short notice and help out. So that's why they have an affiliation as a member of the bullpen, because they want to get to the last week of camp to make sure disaster doesn't happen and they may have to turn to him. They feel like since he's willing to do it, his flexibility is commendable. So they're just going to kind of prepare him to be a reliever with the remote possibility that he may need to be activated as a starter if need be. But view him as Louis the reliever until something else drastic happens.
And he's probably got to be behind Festa and Zebby in the starting pecking order anyway. So I just think he's a reliever, and they're just trying to, soften the conversation about it. I heard that Zebby had a little hip problem this weekend. I mean, he wasn't going to make the team out of spring training anyway, but what I was hearing was he was throwing 97 down there. If you look at a guy with his command suddenly having his velocity spike up, I mean, what do you think the high end on Zebby is, Roy?
When a guy's got 3 or 4 pitches, one of which is 97, and he throws everything right around the plate all the time, the upside's big. I just can't stress enough, if you've got a fastball that's going to concern guys, and 97, if that's what it's going to sit at, then that is gigantic, because he's got a couple of secondary pitches that will work off of 97, and he's not going to get in ball 3 or ball 4 problems. So, there's an awful lot to like about Zebby Matthews if he's 96 or higher with his fastball, and he starts learning about where he has to throw the ball consistently to get in, and how he has to mix his repertoire up against big league hitters. But I mean, it's very difficult to teach ability to throw the ball in or very close to the strike zone. The thing that I've noticed about him is every once in a while he'd be on the middle of the plate. Okay, that's fine, but he wasn't so much in the middle of the plate after going 3-1 or walking 2 guys or anything like that. And when he missed, he's trying to go for the outside or inside corner. He just barely missed. It wasn't ever a non-competitive pitch, or very rarely. So I think there's big upside there, right? You never know if a guy's going to make it or not. When you see he's got a lot of tools, and he should, but I think he should.
LaVelle, it's very interesting. It sounds like Paddock is going to get the first shot to be kind of the number 4 starter because he's in a contract year. They're paying him. He has, some upside. I think Simeon Woods Richardson has earned the 5th spot. Those 2 spots could flip easily, but it sounds like Simeon's probably going to be the 5 coming out of camp. Then you have Festa and Zebby. How do you think those 4 shake out as the season goes on? Do you think, is there any chance that Paddock and Simeon Woods Richardson just hold on to those spots, or do you think they're going to be pushed by Festa and Zebby?
I think it's inevitable that someone in that rotation either is going to struggle or get injured, and they're going to need, and Festa and Matthews are going to be needed. I know the year they had Sonny Gray and Pablo and Maeda, they miraculously made like 88% of their starts as a group or something, and that is just something that doesn't happen very often. And so you're going to need 7, 8, maybe 9 starters to get through a regular season. So I expect David Festa, who's added a sinker, I believe, this offseason, and Zebby, who people have said down here that his stuff looks great this spring, as guys we're going to see during the season. So to me, Paddock is a wild card here, man. I don't know what he is as a pitcher, because we haven't seen enough of him on the mound, and we haven't seen him healthy. So I think that I would say take Paddock north to start the season. But if he doesn't pitch well, you know how it is. You take 2 months to see what you got. If he's not effective by mid to late May, then I think you got to make a move for the long haul here. So I would put Paddock on the hot seat in terms of losing this job, and I'm curious to see how Simeon takes off with the experience he gained last year. He definitely should leave the season more confident. Left that season confident that he can get major league hitters out, and that's a good development to have for a young guy who still has upside. That's the thing too. Aside from Paddock, you got three guys in Woods, Festa, and Matthews who all still have upside and has some major league experience. And it's exciting to think about how they can apply that and move forward from that. So I expect to see both those guys that you mentioned up here contributing at one point or another during the season.
All right, let's get to our Booze and Blues segment. Thanks to all of our sponsors to begin with: Aquarius Home Services, Gidley THC Beverages, Onyx Hunt, Minnesota Masonic Charities, and True Vision Institute. Thank you all for listening. We do appreciate it. We're going to be adding Mark Rosen to our network and doing some more live shows. I hope you will join us for those. We'll give you the announcements on specifics here coming up. I think March 26th downtown will be the first one with our sports reporter show. But again, I'll tell you more when we have it all firmed up. For now, I will start off while the gentlemen collect their thoughts. Have I ever mentioned the Tom Petty song, I Should Have Known It?
No.
Okay. If you want a classic, it's a great example of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Mike Campbell coming up with like a Zeppelin riff and building a song around it. It's one of my favorite Petty songs. It's one of my favorite rock and roll songs of all time. There's a great video out about it called I Should Have Known It. And the cool thing is that when Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers were going to play Saturday Night Live, Campbell's up on stage doing sound checks, and he's going through this riff that starts the song, and it's blatant Zeppelin riff, right? He admits it. And he looks up, and there's Jimmy Page in the audience, like, staring at him.
Wow.
So he played it anyway, and it's still a great song. So check out the video, I Should Have Known It, on YouTube by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, one of my favorite songs. All right, LaVelle, you're next.
Mine is bourbon. And I just want to talk about my fondness for one of my go-to bourbons, which is Buffalo Trace, which is a big deal down in Kentucky and is a big deal in this country. And sometimes it's difficult to get in the Twin Cities, but there are places that sell it, and you just have to be a little diligent about finding it. But I'm here to tell you, as someone who's been in Florida for 2 evenings, that if you have Buffalo Trace, to cherish your Buffalo Trace. Because here, I went out to an establishment to smoke a cigar and have a Buffalo Trace, and I got a bill for $21. So I know for a fact, if you're in the Twin Cities, you ain't paying $21 for Buffalo Trace with a couple of cubes of ice in it. So it's a very tasty bourbon. It's not too expensive per bottle. It is expensive in Florida, but I would wholeheartedly encourage all of you, if you're a bourbon fan, you like Buffalo Trace, to get a bottle and to hold on to as many bottles as you can. Especially bring them with you on the road if you end up in Florida, instead of having to pay $21 for one drink.
This has been Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, starring LaVelle Neal III. All right, Roy, your turn.
I'm just going to recommend a song for people. I've been talking about artists and, blues genre artists for a long time, various people that I'm listening to lately. But I had never heard this song before. Two great artists, a guitar player and a singer, getting together. I'm sure people heard it, but I had not. And I thought, man, is this fun. So it's Buddy Guy playing Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone, the old Bill Withers deal. And singing with him is, of course, I just blanked on Tracy Chapman.
Oh, wow. What a
It
combo.
is so fun. I got to tell you, it starts out with just classic Buddy Guy doing a great job of vocals, because it's, Bill Withers was so polished sounding, and Buddy Guy is just the blues, man. And he has the blues about his sunshine being gone. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Tracy Chapman comes in and takes over a verse, and then sings with them to finish out the song. And it's really good. So that's it for me. Just go Go find Buddy Guy and Tracy Chapman doing Ain't No Sunshine.
I love it. That's one of my favorite songs. I love playing that song. Funny, one of my favorite songs my band does is Use Me by Bill Withers, only kind of funked up and with some guitar solos thrown in. You can't really go wrong with Bill Withers.
No. I mean, he never did anything anything bad. It was all from pleasant to listen to great. I mean, there was never anything. And there's one song. Now that you mentioned Bill Withers, one of my favorite songs you never hear and nobody talks about it, but one of my favorite songs of all time, especially for him or for anybody else, is Who Is He and What Is He to You? Just a phenomenal song.
All right, one more recommendation in this vein. The documentary, I found it on Netflix a while back, called The Black Godfather. Go check it out. He just this guy in Los Angeles started like the first all black radio station, kind of gave rise to all kinds of, he was kind of the fixer, the guy who would get somebody's career started. If he believed in you, he would pull together whatever it took to get you rolling in the right direction. And the number of people, the stars, political, music, societal, that he kind of got on the right track is amazing. I won't spoil it anymore. Go check it out. It's definitely one of my favorite documentaries of all time. All right, for today, for Roy Smalley, for LaVelle E, Neal III, for TalkNorth.com, I'm Jim Souhan. We appreciate you listening. Remember to subscribe, and looking forward to this baseball season. This is going to be a blast. This team, I think, is going to be very interesting to talk about.